to Smart Women Talking. It's the Monday meet. I'm with the girls, and I think we'll just kick off with porn. Why not? Why not? Okay, porn.
Bit early for that.
It is a bit early. No, it's never too early for porn. What's she saying? It's a world to its. I mean, we laugh about it, but it is a multi-million-pound industry.
Yeah.
I personally have made £5.50. No, I personally know somebody who is a multi-millionaire who is a porn star. He's a bit depressed, but there we go.
Tired.
I'm very tired, yes. But he's tired because he's polishing his different cars and his big
What was going to say then?
That mansion don't clean
Does he
itself.
produce it, or is he actually one of the male?
He's actually in it as well.
Right.
But it is a huge industry, and we laugh about it. But I mean, and I personally have not been in it, so I can't speak from that point of view.
Well, there are loads of videos in my garage of all the productions that you've been in.
No, that wasn't. No, seriously, I have never been
She
in
knows
them.
nothing about it.
I've never been in them. Anyway, moving on. And you're not coming back.
memory.
You're not coming back, are you? So, what do you think of porn?
I think it keeps an awful lot of people off the streets to a certain degree, and I think that each to their own is what I kind of think. That's what I think. Really,
Is that it?
Yes, kind of.
I think that sounds a bit guarded to me, actually.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, don't try and expose me and then just sit there
She was hoping you weren't going to bring that up.
in your pretty pink outfit.
Yes. No, I just think. Look.
Yes.
I've always said 2 industries to be in: undertakers and pornography.
It's very true.
They never fail, do they? Doesn't matter what's going
Always
on.
going to be work.
It's always going to be work for someone somewhere
Very
along the
true.
line. And I think that if you're in the porn industry, then you're in it because 9 times out of 10 you want to be in it, and it's good.
Well,
and it's good
yeah,
money.
but you say that, but I just happen to know, I don't know how.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was having a chat with some ladies who are quite big in the porn industry. But interestingly enough, both ladies live with their girlfriends. What does that tell us? They live with their girlfriends. And
But
there's
they get double money because they probably do it with the girls and the guys.
Well, how do you know that?
Well, that's what they probably do, don't they?
You don't know that.
Okay, well, I'm just,
Well, she never mentioned it, nor did the other lady. Anyway, so, Benita, what do you think about porn?
I have no issue with it, as long as there's no coercion or, kids or, no nasties. And I can't have an issue with it because my son actually works as an erotic filmmaker.
Oh.
Filmmaker or is in the film?
Both.
Oh.
Both,
She's
yes.
so nosy, isn't she?
I know, well, I like to know these things.
I mean, he's very handsome.
Right.
And he's been a dancer all his life. And
So he's very bendy.
It's very bendy. It's very bendy, very, very fit, very lithe. And it's his own business. And
Been blessed?
I don't really watch his work. There are some things a mother doesn't need.
Yes, I was going to say, it's not a question I'd
To
be
see.
asking. Yeah.
Apparently, but
Yes.
I don't need to know the proof of that.
But he is successful, isn't he?
He's very successful, yeah. He's, I don't know how long he's been doing it now, maybe 3-4 years.
Right.
A bit longer, I'm not sure. But yeah, he's in control of his own work. He's very respectful. He works with he's gay, so he works with boys. He earns good money from it, and he's in control, and nobody's coerced, and a lot of the work he does is very beautiful. So
really,
Very creative.
yeah.
yes, he's very creative.
Very
yeah.
creative.
Yeah.
So really, what we're saying is none of us have a problem with it at all.
Well, I do
we?
have a funny story actually that's just come to
I
mind.
thought you would.
I know, funny that, isn't it? My mother,
Set your clocks.
my mother phoned me up one day.
No, was she a porn star?
Nearly. She phoned me up one day and I said, "What are you going to do tonight, Mummy?" She said, "Watch TV." She said, "There's a documentary on about John Wayne." Now, my mother loved John Wayne. She said, "So I'm going to pour myself a nice glass of wine. I'm going to watch the John Wayne documentary." And I said, "Oh, enjoy." So I spoke to her the next day and I said, "Well," I said, "how was the documentary?" "Don't talk to me about the documentary," she said. And I said, "Well, why not?" She said, "It wasn't about John Wayne at all. It was about somebody called John Wayne Bobbitt."
I remember, yeah.
And I went, "Oh," I said, "So there's no cowboys then in that film?" She went, "Oh, I don't know what went on there. She said, she said, it took me a while before the penny dropped. Bless her.
Oh, that's cute.
Oh, I never really knew what my mother thought of that. That's just, anyway, mind you, my mother was very easygoing, so I don't think she'd be really bothered by it. I'm going to turn away from porn, and I'm going to say something completely different. Why don't we, because it's been quite a busy few weeks for the BBC, talk about the BBC. I mean, have they had their day? I think in the format that they're running now, they have had their day. I think that too many things have happened. I know we all know about Jimmy Savile, but now we've got Bashir and all the other stories that have gone on. I, for one, tomorrow morning, I am cancelling my licence. I am not happy. If you think about it, we've been through a time where you're told, don't go out, don't go out, don't go out, you're vulnerable, you're vulnerable. Well, the vulnerable people, a lot of them, are our pensioners who might have lost their husband, their wife. The only person they're going to see is on their TV. Yeah. And so what I am seeing is and they've got to pay for it. And I am just appalled anyway the way our pensioners are treated. But the fact they have to then pay for it, when you see the pensions that are going and the salaries that are going to these people, and these people who really do need company in their houses. And not only that, during this time I have covered a few things that have been going on in London. I haven't seen them on the BBC. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
And these things that are happening are huge.
Yeah.
And we did also see, there was a march. Now, I know it was about 7 miles, was it 7 miles or 9 miles long?
Which one are we talking about?
The last march in London.
Yeah. Is that the one where they all went outside the BBC?
But we're not allowed to say that.
Now,
they congregated outside the BBC, And apparently, I think all the journalists must have been over at the Palestine march, because apparently that's the only march that went on that day.
Now this, for those that don't know, this march literally, which was very jovial, men, women, children, you had 100-year-old people, you had people from the Holocaust were there.
Doctors,
nurses, nurses, your NHS's workers. And this went on. I mean, we're talking about 20 people deep at least, and it was 7 miles or 9 miles long, and they filmed it with a drone as well, so we know.
So what was the estimated turnout?
They said just under 1 million, but we don't know for sure. And then, like you say, you've got the BBC that's standing out shouting at every BBC, Cardiff, Manchester and London, not covered. Now I want to know, if that wasn't covered, what else
are they hiding
has not been covered? So that should be news. So I'm looking, if I'm looking to the BBC for my news, where was it? I didn't see it. And there's so much more I could say about the BBC, but I think with the Bashir thing, that in itself, when they had 2 whistleblowers with Bashir, and both whistleblowers went and said, look, I think there's something wrong here, and they were both fired, and one of them has really scratched out a living since then, but they were both fired. Now, Bashir couldn't have done this on his own, because, and then they brought Bashir back, didn't they, as well, in, I think, 2016, to head up, was it religious?
Yeah, he did the religious channel or something.
So there's too much going on now that I'm really not comfortable with. And also, if you think about it, it's our lights, it's our money that, in a sense, paid.
Yes, of course.
So I am not happy. I'm not happy with the way they treat the old people. I'm not happy with what's going on. I'm not happy with what is not deliberately not being covered. And let's face it, when you're in charge of information, you're quite powerful, because you decide what we may see and what we may not see.
Yes,
they hold the power. Yeah, so that's my thoughts. So, do you have a thought?
I cancel. It's going to be contentious, don't you? But probably saying what many people are thinking, but are too scared to put it out, and it never go out on BBC.
Yeah.
I cancelled my licence a few weeks ago.
Right.
I kept thinking of doing it, and then the press really got to me. Because, like you said, old people, I suppose I'm getting there myself.
Speak for yourself, darling.
No one to hear it.
To me.
I'm just thinking, I'm getting there. anyway, old people are very often, like you say, that's what they watch.
Yeah.
They've also set their standards by the BBC, and literally people have this almost brainwashed way about them that if it's not on the BBC, it's not true, or it's not happening.
And do you know that prisoners in Egypt, they smuggle in radios because they want to listen to the BBC? So that's how
it's worldwide. It always has been, from like the war, from whenever they started broadcasting. So now we are seeing with our own eyes.
Yes.
I was at that march. I was standing outside the BBC with that awful statue.
Oh, really?
So many of these statues, you walk past and you don't really see them because they've just always been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've started taking a lot more notice of things like this now.
Yeah.
And it's not pretty.
And we're pulling statues down, let's face it.
And when they're statues of known paedophiles, or and they've got a naked child on them, I'm not saying anything that isn't there, because it's right there on Portland Street, isn't it? It starts to make me feel very queasy. Plus, that day I was there, the roof was filled with people from the BBC, so they weren't all over at Hyde Park at the Palestine. It was blatant. It was absolutely blatant. It was in my face. I was a witness at the march at the BBC.
Right.
And I could see what was happening, and I was waiting to see what they would cover.
Right.
Because there were so many people, as far as your eye could see, packed in. Lovely people, singing, dancing, kids, dogs, everything. People in wheelchairs, like you said earlier. And at the top of the BBC building, there were quite a few people filming.
Right.
And I actually saw some of that footage online later or the next day.
Right.
So whoever was up there filming put that out online.
And how did they describe it online? What did they say was happening?
This was just a private. It wasn't the BBC putting it out online.
Oh, I see, right.
Because the BBC didn't acknowledge it.
I didn't know it had happened. I saw it online. So I had no idea that happened, because I was covering the Freedom Rally March, and I was filming the doctors and the nurses there.
Oh yeah, because I thought that was the same thing, but no.
So I had no idea, and it wasn't until an ex-BBC presenter literally that day put on 3 lots of, this is the BBC in Wales, this is what's happening, this is what happened today in London, and this is what's happening further north, because I had no idea either. So we're all starting to get our news from the reality of what's happening online.
And it should be coming through the BBC.
Yes, of course it should.
The BBC have always been held in high esteem for being unbiased and for telling the truth. And that is not happening now.
No.
Not at all.
And that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
The BBC is the most well-established broadcasting company. Yeah. So because they are that, and they have come, and we've grown up with the BBC.
Yeah, it's like a trusted brand.
They have the majority on everything. Yeah. You know, you pay for your licence and all the rest of it. And then over the years, they have been under a lot of scrutiny. Things have happened, regardless of whatever, you know, the rumour is, whether it's paedophile or covering something up, and now all of a sudden they are a one-trick pony as far as I'm concerned, because they should have a duty of care to give a broad news-worthy section of what's going on completely.
Both sides of every story.
Now, interestingly enough, the I think it was ITV covered a while ago, you know, should people still be paying for their BBC licences? So ITV covered it. It was on the news, and there was a little bit of a debate going on about it. But obviously the BBC aren't going to cover it because it's about them. But you would think, what you were talking about, that one of the other channels would pick up the march outside the BBC and they would film it, if for no other reason, but obviously to say, because that's competitors effectively, you know, a good reason to film, but they haven't. No. So that says to me that there's a bigger picture going on somewhere along the line. Now, whether or not it's a media blanket completely, but we can't. People should know and be able to see everything that's going on. It should be transparent, and we should get both sides or three sides of the story, so people, the general public, are well informed. And I don't feel at the moment that the public are well informed. And I also feel that years ago, when you used to watch the news, they always used to finish with a bit of fun.
Yes.
And today, in North Wales,
there's
nothing.
It's well, what I feel is I feel like I'm being fear pawned. Is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Fear
you're
pawned.
right, yeah.
I watched something where a reporter got up and he's standing outside a building. Now the building is faceless. We don't know what kind of building. Honestly, it could be in a Kentucky Fried Chicken behind. There was just nothing there. He's on a gravel pathway, and he says, and this is how they ended the news. If you're on your own, my God, how you'd want to commit suicide.
Yeah.
He said, so tomorrow, this place here, this is going to be full of bodies. And this car pulls up. We don't see what car it is. We just see the wheels on the gravel driveway. He said, yes, it's going to be very busy as we see car wheels. And then he said, so let's hope, And I thought, well, what was that about? We don't know what that building was. We don't know. Just because you've said tomorrow it's going to be full of bodies, we don't know. But the problem is that somebody on their own who's susceptible to fear porn is going to look at that and be in a complete panic. So I think now that this fear bombing has reached such a proportion that I think it is terrifying the public.
But I do think that the BBC are now on very, very, very shaky ground. I do think that people have had enough. But interesting, how does that work if you cancel your licence? Does that mean that you don't get BBC on Freeview or whatever? I mean, how does that actually
you've
work?
still got it.
You just can't watch anything live.
I'm not allowed to watch anything live, apparently.
What, so like the football and bits
I
and
don't know, I
pieces
don't
and-
watch it anyway.
So you wouldn't watch any of that. So you'd have to wait till later. So I guess even if a show is coming on at 8 o'clock, or say you want to watch EastEnders, you can't watch it as it goes out. Not that I want to watch EastEnders, because again,
That's so depressing, that programme.
because what happens is suddenly a character out of nowhere will almost deliver a party political speech. Not a party political, but like an agenda of the time.
Propaganda.
And will start to virtue signal.
Yeah.
And I'll think, well, I'm sorry, but your character is an ex-alcoholic, but is still going through drug problems, but now you're telling us how the world should run, and I'm a bit worried about the green grasses. Well, hang on, but you're still doing your drugs. And I just, it's over for me.
I stopped watching EastEnders. I used to love
the BBC.
Soaps. I loved EastEnders and I loved Corrie. And I've watched Corrie. Well, Corrie's the same age as me.
Right. 29.
So, yeah. It's been, not been running as long as you think. And I watched it all my life because my mum loved it.
Yeah.
And I've just always watched it.
But they're good scripts.
Back in. I loved it.
And the humour.
The humour.
I loved it.
Is brilliant.
And then they went over to a political agenda a while back, at least a year back, with the Sinead story. That was so politically biased. That put me off a bit, but I carried on watching it, and then it just got too much. It just got too much. It was literally like watching propaganda.
Yeah.
So I ditched that. But EastEnders hadn't gone that way at that point, so I carried on watching EastEnders. And then all of a sudden, it was like they were working for the BBC.
But
or the
really,
government.
what we're saying is it's the news part of the BBC we don't like, because you can't take away the fact that BBC know how to make a good war.
Yes.
But we're just getting repeats now, though, as well.
Well, but it's been difficult to do anything, I presume, with what's gone on in the last year.
But it's all cooking. I don't,
Oh, cookery shows.
Oh, I hate cooking.
So I think what we've said.
I never want to watch them.
I just think they either reform, or I think they need to now get
Fall away.
Do you think the pensioners know that they can give their licence? You see, that's interesting, isn't it?
Well, a lot of pensioners have said, right, come and get the money then. They've just decided, they're not doing it. And I think good for them, because I really think we need to take care.
But they should be paying for their licence.
Of course they shouldn't.
Didn't they take that back this year? Was that this year that they... Because they... I can't remember who it was. They stopped them paying. They didn't have to pay
That's
it.
right,
Over 75, was it? And didn't they take that back?
I don't know.
I'm sure they did, but I'm not sure when.
I know there was a change, which is why everybody started to get up in arms, wasn't it?
And I think it was that the 75-year-old plus weren't having to pay a licence, and then they decided that they did.
Ah, okay.
I could be wrong on that. I'd have to check those facts, but I'm pretty sure
It's
that's
interesting
what's
though
happened.
how much revenue that the BBC will lose.
They're
if
losing.
people-
They're losing anyway. But I think what's really interesting
Well,
was
the government
three of
will make
us.
up for that, won't they? With
The government are actually investing in the BBC. So there are
Something
three
like
of us here, and as of tomorrow there will be two of us that no longer have a licence.
Well, I think I might join that.
Join us.
Absolutely.
Come
I could
on.
save myself £12 a month. That's a lot of
15,
money,
isn't it?
No, 12.
What was it? Okay.
Yeah, £12 a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So do you remember the days when the BBC News would come on and they wouldn't even have, I mean, they would be so impartial that they didn't even have inflections in their voices on anything, so they didn't give anything away. They would simply read the news.
Yes.
Now I've noticed we get a little bit of sarcasm, we get a little smirk when we talk about certain people in the news, so we know that the whoever is telling the news it doesn't like that person, and it's almost like they've become celebrities as well.
Yes.
And is that worry that whether you're watching the football where they start to tell you what you should be offended by, or whether we're watching a programme, a soap where suddenly they put in a little message, I feel like they've gone woke, too woke.
Yes.
And what do they say? Go woke, go broke. And I think what has
I think
happened...
that's
Just
Right.
explain that woke to me again.
Well, it's just a description of the fact that they are so politically correct, and it seems to be an awful lot of virtue signalling. And if you're and if you're going to be, it's really according to their standards what we should be thinking, saying, what's important. In fact, I heard a lady, I couldn't believe it when I was out, and she was complaining about something, and she said, honestly, she said, I don't really know what to think about things, so I switched the BBC on to find out, what I should think. What I should
They'll
think.
tell me what I should be thinking.
But we're
Frightening.
laughing, but she was saying
It's
to the
frightening.
lady, she said, the receptionist, she said, I don't know what to think anymore. So she says, not until I switch the BBC on and they tell me what to think. And she said, honestly, and then I know how I'm going to be. And it turns out she's a school teacher. I'm not saying all school teachers, by the way, I'm not, because I know my daughter's got fabulous school teachers. But it's their point of view being pushed onto, so their presenters take on that point of view,
And that's the problem, isn't it?
and it's
only
there.
one point
Yeah.
of view.
Yes.
There's no
Yeah.
other.
Yes, you're not
points of
allowed
view.
to have your own thoughts or opinions. Or,
But they were the first to get on board with the whole politically correct society.
Yes.
You
But
know, if
politically
they're-
correct to who again?
Well, again,
Yeah.
there's always something, and because they always have to be, because they're so scared. I've always thought that
Yeah.
BBC actually are really scared.
But there seems to be a message in everything, and let's face it, at night, if you've been at work, and if you're lucky to have a job these days, and you come home and you put the TV on, you want escapism. You don't want a message.
No.
If you watch sport, you don't want a message. You want, and I think they're reading actually the general public. We're not talking about those that are living in the leafy suburbs, or where. We're talking about just your average man, woman on the street. They really want to be entertained.
But I
Yeah.
have stopped watching the BBC.
Right.
I have actually stopped watching.
I
I don't.
have too.
If I watch any of the news, it's not BBC.
Right.
I find it also quite drab. There's no personality
No.
in their news
Well,
presenting
that's probably
anymore.
because they have to toe the line with
I know,
everything.
and also if you think about all these young journalists that have gone to university, I did some work when I was on radio. I did some work for the BBC,
Right.
and their application forms, they do like a lot of people that come from university backgrounds. That's that's
Well,
a
there we
big tick.
go.
It's a big tick for them. If you haven't got a university degree, that's
But
a
where's
big
the
cross.
diversity in that?
There's
then?
no diversity there.
No.
Yeah.
But also, the fact with them, I forgot what my fact was actually.
There's an outtake.
Outside for you.
There's a classic outtake. I can't wait to see the outtakes
That's
when
a
you put them
complete
together.
Hold on, let me just
Come on,
let's go back.
Reel you in.
Oh yes, so all these people going to university to study to do journalism and real journalism and
Yeah.
frontline journalism and report what's out there. When they get there and they get their jobs, there's probably a list
Of what?
Of all the things you can't cover.
Yeah.
So what can I report on? What you can got this list, but this is what you've got to say when you do it because blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So that for me, I feel quite sad for the young journalists coming up through the ranks.
Yeah, because they can't do what they want to do.
Creativity on how to write be completely, slapped.
Yeah.
And that's where my train of thought was going.
Right.
Yeah, thank God we got back on the track, didn't we? I thought it was going to be a very lonely road off of that track. So yeah, I think it's a shame because I think they had a great respect, but they have changed, and I don't think the masses are changing with them. And I think they've called this one wrong. I don't think they've got any idea. They're so inflated in their arrogance that I think they've got no idea. But
not for much longer.
But not, I was going to say, but not for much longer.
Not for much longer.
And I think when you start upsetting the royal family, your days are numbered. It's ticking. All right, now that Mo has managed to get a train of thought back on track, we're going to have to lighten it. We're going to have to lighten it slightly. So we're going to have to talk about something very amusing. So this is something I am actually been noticing more and more and more. Profile pictures. Okay, we're either using cartoon characters, little bunny ears, little
I look quite cute.
little funny glasses, or a fabulous filter that means you don't even look like you really look like, which means that on a date, if the man or the woman is looking for the man or the woman, and they get to the bar, they see the unfiltered.
Bunny ears.
By the way, director, have you got the filter for us all? I'm afraid you're just looking at our...
Is there a filter?
It's on real faces, sadly.
So I can say that the pictures up on my Facebook, none of us have got filters.
No, we don't actually.
You're too real. Get it down.
Yeah. Cut it down instantly.
I prefer the filtered version.
But what do we think? Because I suddenly bump into somebody and I don't even know it's them because the filter is, everybody looks like Kim Kardashian or
I know.
or a bunny rabbit. No, I was just moving that bit.
I do like that Snapchat thing. It is quite funny when you can put all little funny ears and stuff. I am 12.
This is the problem.
But I do feel that we're becoming very unreal as a society.
Yes, very fake.
We're becoming very unreal. Even the youngsters that are growing up, they always want to look like something. Yes, they all want to look like something out of The Only Way Is Essex. They all look the same.
Oh, I know.
They've all got the same hair. They've all got the same eyelashes. They've all got the same lips. There's no personality.
No, it's gone too far.
It's gone to a little bit of. As you get to a tender age, a little bit of filtering out.
Do you know what?
I have to carry mine around with me.
Real is going to become.
Just get my filter
No,
out.
I like that Instagram light that is attached to my chest and is there. Mind my light as I go through the supermarket. Get out of aisle 3. I'm coming through with my rather large Instagram light. I have tried filters in the privacy of my own home. It's such a disappointment when you go back to your real face, isn't it? I know. Because you think, yes, I look rather fab. Nice. Oh, look at me, I'm just fabulous. And then you press it back to, do you want to go back to normal? Yes. And then you go, oh,
you see all your pores.
Oh, love.
It doesn't look good, does it?
I've never done it. So I don't know how to do it.
Do it. And then do it, and then do one.
I think my daughter's done occasionally things of me, which I'm like, oh, that's nice. Look a bit better there. But I don't know how to use it.
So we're not really fans.
So what you see on
these,
there's
some great ones you can get now. You can get a tanned face. You can make your eyes blue. You've got you've got au natural look, but au natural makes you look really really sort of stunning and
natural,
beautiful skin. Like
not
perfect
real
skin.
natural.
Not real. And you can do lots of things, can't you, on these things? You can you get little stars around your head.
Oh my goodness! You've been in too long. So really, we're not really a fan of looking so completely different that nobody knows who the hell we are. You might have noticed this week that Ruby, our dog, has not been snoring away because she's riveted by what we're saying. So she's actually awake on her bed. There she goes. So thank you for joining us. We will see you next week. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.